Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm going to be doing my 5-star predictions round number 3. So let's get started. I'm very quickly going to mention the 5 books that I mentioned in my other predictions and then discuss the new books that I think I'm going to give 5 stars. I will leave a link of the original creator of this type of video below. Can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but the links will be in the description. So my round 2 I posted in March, I think, and while I'm happy with like the turnaround of how fast I read them, my results / predictions weren't very great, and we're going to recap them very quickly. There was actually a rollover from my round 1, which I posted in 2018, and I still haven't read this book, but I'm not incredibly interested in reading it right now. Frankly, don't even think it's going to be 5 stars, so I'm not going to mention this book again until I have read it. But that's This Guy Is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. I thought I was going to love this book in 2018. Do I think I might like it now? Possibly, but I don't know. Nor do I really care to read it at this moment in time. The next book was from my round 2 predictions video. Have not read it. Probably will never read it because the author's kind of proved himself to be a shitty person, and that's We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. He's recently come under criticisms over his most recent release, which is called The State of Us. It's very similar in premise to Red, White, and Royal Blue, except for it follows a Democrat and a Republican's sons falling in love, and he wrote a person of color who I think was of Latinx descent, and a lot of people had criticisms in regards to that representation, and he did not handle it well. That is like the ultimate thing. He did not handle it well, so I'm not going to read this book. I will most likely be unhauling it when I do my next unhaul. I'm not impressed with his behavior, which is unfortunate because I think I could have really liked his books. So on to the books I've actually read. Also, mixed results. The first one being Nevernight by Jake Kristoff. I said, and I quote, "I think I will love or hate this book." That prediction was right, but the prediction of it being 5 stars was horribly wrong. I gave this 1 star. I fucking hated this book. I have an entire review for it if you're interested on my opinions and why I disliked it. 99% of them had to do with the incredibly irritating and, I think, in my opinion, poorly done writing style. But it's just not my taste. That's fine. But I did really freaking hate this book. 1 star. One of my least favorites of the year. The next book I liked, thank God, but didn't give it 5 stars, and that's Crier's War by Nina Varela. This is a fantasy sci-fi young adult story that has a female-female romance. I thought I would love it. Gave it 3.5 stars. I also have a review for this one if you're interested. I really liked it. I do want to read the sequel. It just really didn't give the 5-star vibe, and I was sad about it. The next book I'm counting it as a success, even though I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and that's Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Celeste Ng is a phenomenal writer. Like, there's no question. Her prose is great. Her themes are great. This book, like, was no surprise. It was so good. I just couldn't quite give it the full 5 stars, which is a bummer, but I'm counting it as a success because it's pretty damn close to 5 stars, and it was really, really good. Okay, and the saving grace, the redeeming part of this story, is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I love this book. One of my favorites of the year. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 5 stars if I could give it. I also have a review for this one. Apparently this video is just me promoting all of my reviews that I've done this year, but what are we gonna do? I love this book. I've actually read it twice this year, and I love it. Okay, so that was the recap, so we are going to move on. Alright, so my first prediction is a book that I've talked quite a bit frequently. I don't think that's a proper sentence, but I've talked about it a lot. That's Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I don't know much about the plot, but I think I'm going to love it, and we're just going to stick with that. This is an adult science fiction epic space opera that I'm so excited to get started with, and I've just been dying to read it. I've just heard so many good reviews, and when reviewers talk about it, it just, in my brain, sounds like something that I'm going to love, and I can't wait to read like an epic grand scale story in space. I really like sci-fi, but I don't think I read it enough. I can't really tell you much more or give you better reasons for it, but I do think I'll love it. I normally try to avoid talking about sequels when I do these videos, but we're gonna break the rules this time because I feel like talking about it, and that's Blood Witch by Susan Dennard. This is book 3 in the Truth Witch Witchlands series. I think book 1 was my first read of this year, and I slammed that 5-star button. I was so excited. It's been a long time since I've like absolutely adored a young adult fantasy series, so I'm so excited about it. I also have reviews for Truth Witch and Wind Witch if you are interested. I just really love where the direction of this series is going. I like the scale of the story, especially for a young adult story. I really like the scale and grandeur behind it. I didn't love Wind Witch as much, but I thought there were a lot of threads, pun intended, that were being set up for the rest of the series that have made me just, again, really super excited. I want to pick this one up again by the end of the year, but that is TBD. I also have to read Sight Witch, which is like book 2.5 in the Witchland series, so we'll see, but I think I'll love it. The romantic relationships in here I'm quite invested in. I also am the most invested in this friendship that's in the series. I can't wait. I think I'm going to love it. The next book I'm going to talk about is literally the reason why I decided to film this video today, because I'm going to pick it up really soon. And I'm predicting I'm going to give it 5 stars, and that's none other than Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Do I know exactly anything about the plot? No, I do not. Do I care? Also, no. I think I'm going to give this 5 stars. I've seen the most glowing reviews I've seen in a long time for a fantasy book. I have read a book by Rebecca Roanhorse this year and I really enjoyed it. I'm so down for this. The characters in here are supposed to be phenomenal. I think there's a polyamorous relationship in here, and there's also a non-binary character. I cannot wait to see Rebecca Roanhorse's take on an epic adult fantasy. That sounds great. And also, I was looking at the blurbs on here. It's blurbed by a lot of my favorite people, and then also people whose books and work I cannot wait to read. It seems just a book written for me, which is so such a selfish and ridiculous statement, but it's right up my alley. I think I'm going to love this. Every time I do one of these videos, I like to put something that's not SFF, like favorite genres, on here, just to mix it up, challenge myself a little bit. And the one I went with this time is You Bring the Distant Near by Maitali Perkins. This is a young adult contemporary story that I believe is a generational tale. It follows this one family of women moving from India to London, and then from London to the States. This basically just navigates cultural identity, especially through the lens of diaspora, and then also I think generational trauma. And it's really short, but I've seen such glowing reviews for this story. I think I'm going to love it. And not many people I have seen read this book, but the people who I have seen read this have had glowing reviews, absolutely loved it. I can't wait to read it. The final book I want to talk about, I'm so happy to have in my hands, is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This was one of my most anticipated releases of last year, and every time I passed in the bookstore, I was so tempted to buy it. And then it came out in paperback, and I bought it immediately. If you ever want to pitch me a story to make me interested in reading it, basically any one of the elements in this book, and you'll have me down, sold, want to read your book. This is a historical fantasy set in the Jazz Age in Mexico, and I hate historical fiction, but I love historical fantasy. It's a very interesting line to walk, I'll let you know now, but it follows a girl who unintentionally wakes or releases the Mayan god of death, and they have to go on this wild adventure throughout Mexico to the underworld to accomplish something, and that just sounds great. It's also pretty short for a standalone fantasy. It's like 360 pages, but I don't care. I'm so excited to read it. I I also want to read this by the end of the year, but it's probably not going to happen. But I'm like just so excited about this book. It looks so good, and I have been dying to read anything by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I cannot wait for this book. I hope this video was short, or at least shorter than what it was going to be with my other attempt at this, but let me know down in the comments below what you think of any of the books that I have mentioned here today. I'd love to know. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye!